Okay, we're going to talk about manufacturing today, guys. We've been through all the materials and processes, so we kind of understand the materials that we're using, the plastics, the woods, the metals, etc. So now we're going to go into what we have as manufacturing, which when we get to this, we kind of got to look around our room, around the world, around just things around us, and kind of understand where they come from. Okay, most of everything has been manufactured. So most of the things you see in your everyday life were made in factories. So your shoes, your shirts, your clothes, your phones, your pens, your pencils, your bed sheets, everything. Most of it, I'd almost say 99% of it, comes from a factory where they mass produce them in mass quantities. The only time you don't have factory made stuff is when you go buy custom products. For example, your custom cabinets, it might came from just a cabinet shop down the road, whereas it could have came from Home Depot, where it was probably mass produced in a factory. But like I said, most of everything is done in factories. We are the consumers. Consumers are people who buy the product, so we have to worry about the products. So we got to pay attention to the economy and how things are being produced. And as students learning this, you want to learn the process so you can make better decisions later on about buying the products, or even have an input in producing some products later on in your job. Because without us, we would not have them. If we consumers didn't buy the products, we would never have manufacturers to make the product. So we've got to we play a big role in the manufacturing process. Just a statistic, about 25% of the world manufacturing comes from the U.S. We're trying to make that number higher. Obviously, we're trying to train you guys to become better individuals in engineering and understanding how the world works and how we can produce better products to, again, essentially make the U.S. Powerhouse when it comes to manufacturing. Okay, just kind of talk about the two types of products, or how we categorize them. We have durable goods and non-durable goods. The durable goods are, just kind of think about these, are the things that should last a long time. I bought a bike when I was my senior year in college, and we're talking 10 years, 12 years later, it still holds up. It's still the same thing. I've had to replace a tube on the tire, but that's about it. For the most part, the tire's still there. Televisions, again, good example. Tools. Tools almost last forever, as long as you don't lose them. So these are all durable goods, expected to last a long time. Then we produce products that are called non-durable goods. These are expected to last less than 3 years. If you think about your calendars, they're made for 1 year. That means the next year you're going to buy another one. Same with packaged foods. They're not going to last forever, so you have to plan on using them and then buy more. Same with the print cartridges in your printers. They don't last forever, so more than likely you're going to go to Walmart and buy more ink every 3 months or every 2 months or a month, depends on how much printing you do. So that's how you categorize the differences. Think about your big ticket items that cost a lot more. They're going to be pretty much durable goods. Your cars, your beds, things that cost more money will be more likely durable goods. Okay, I want to talk about how it came about, how manufacturing started. We used to create what we call a craft, or we have craftsmen, or example, blacksmith would come in and work on metal and make things out of metal, and welding, and we had shoemakers that create shoes, we had wagon makers to make wagons. Everybody specialized in one thing. That's where we all started. It was craft making. If If you notice, when I talked about 99% of the stuff is mass produced and manufacturing, but we still have custom cabinets. The customized stuff is still around. It's just not as in demand as mass production. So we still have these. If you ever go to Silver Dollar City, you will see a lot of these at work. There is blacksmith at Silver Dollar City, just so you can see what it used to be like creating products individually at one at a time. Kind of like you did on your metal box. You made your metal box individually. You made your ganoop, your plastic, all that was done custom. And if we mass produced it, we wouldn't do that. We'd make a bunch of them at one time. Okay, I want to talk about the Industrial Revolution. This is the era that's changed the way we focused on making products. What we did, we started making products in factories. Okay, the cities grew. When factories grew, all the people from the farms to the cities. So think about this. Your school day goes from 8 to 3 roughly, and your calendar year is from August to May. The reason we have that is because of farming. Okay, most of the kids went home during the summer and worked on the farm, and that's how life was. You worked on your farm. Now, when we started creating these things called a factory, people went to the factory for work instead of at home. So people started leaving the farm and went to work in these factories, which people moved to where the factories were, and now we have these big cities or cities growing around the factory. Try to think about this. I'm going to wait a few slides, but think about this question here. What did people come to Frontenac for? Again, think about factories, jobs. What brought people to this city that created the city? Okay, we left our farms, we left everything for this new opportunity, and we manufactured something here in Frontenac. And I'm going to let you think about that and come back to it. Okay, and the cool thing is, when we started manufacturing, it developed a standard of doing things. Think about the custom cabinets. When you create or buy custom cabinets, they are custom to your house. That's it. You cannot take those cabinets and go put them perfectly in someone else's house. Back before manufacturing became popular, back in the Civil War, we were having gun problems. We had all these customized guns, and if a soldier went down, you could not grab his gun and replace parts on your gun. They weren't interchangeable. So when manufacturing came about, the cool thing was it made a standard way to make a product, and therefore you could we use interchangeable parts. So if something broke, you can go buy a part and put it back in. It wasn't custom. Okay, and what that's called is their scientific method or scientific management, making everything standard and in manufacturing. So that's the basic of all things anymore. Making it all standard. You should be able to go to Walmart, buy a light bulb. You should be able to go to Home Depot, buy a light bulb. They're all standardized. Okay, that's what factories has done for our products. Okay, I'm going to stop here and think about the question I asked. What did Frontenac have in the industry? What did we produce in our factories? Okay, the answer is coal. We produce coal, and that's what a lot of people came here for, coal. Okay, one study, and going back on this slideshow, one study that we did what we call a time and motion study. Finding the best way to do a job with the shortest amount of time was called the time and motion study. This man and woman actually went through and figured this out. How much movement did one person go to point A to point B? And what they try to do is they try to lower the movement from point A to B, so we didn't have to move during our job. And so when we looked at this, we noticed that the less time you were moving, the more products you were able to do. And so by doing this study, we learned how to do different jobs and focused on one person doing one thing instead of custom like we used to. And this is called what we called this division of labor. And it's basically is you're going to get a certain task and do one thing. Okay, we're basically doing smaller steps. So if you go back to your GNOOP, think about the GNOOP, we could assign one person to do one cut, one person to do the angled cut, one person to do another cut, and a fourth person to do the last bandsaw cut. So everybody focused on one thing. What that did is one person got very skilled at that one job, and we were able to produce a lot of things that were quicker, and again, you didn't have to move from one machine to the other. Okay, I want to talk about flowchart, and then I'm going to pause and be done with the video at the moment, and we will come back to this on part 2. But a flowchart, what it is a diagram that shows how they relate to one another. We're going to produce a flowchart of our lab because we're going to have a product that we're going to make, and we're going to show how it flows through the lab, start to finish. So if you think about a flowchart of our GNOOP, you would have a chart showing what steps that you went through to complete that. So first you start off with the bandsaw, then you would have went to the table saw, drill press. So you go from the bandsaw to the drill press. From the drill press you'd have a line going to the sanders, from the sanders to the stain, from the stain to the drying rack, from the drying rack to the laser, and then out the door. So you would have a line flowing from one station to the other. And again, the best way to do that is to find the least amount of movements in between with the shortest amount of time to have a great manufacturing system. Okay, this will follow up with part 2, so make sure you take good notes over part 1, and again, if you have to, go back and replay it. I would fully listen to it one time without taking notes, and then the second time make sure you take good notes so you can have it for the quiz coming up. Have a good day.